My name is Amy Savage and I work for the Department of State Development, and we have worked with Powerlink and CPB and UGL to put these events on for you today. The idea is to share that really crucial project information with you about CopperString, talk to you about where those opportunities might be for you as businesses to participate on this critical project. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. The toilets, as you walked in this evening, near the pokies, near the bar, there are toilets if you do need to use those. We do ask that you switch your phones to silent if you may. We understand you may need to take some phone calls this evening, but please take them outside the room so we don't disrupt this evening's agenda. On top of that also, we do have some catering coming later on this evening, so do stick around for some of that. The bar is available. If you are hanging for a beer, you can get a beer at the bar. You do have to pay for that yourself. We don't have an open tab, unfortunately, but do feel free to go and grab yourself a drink. We do have water, tea and coffee available if you do need to take that also. Without further ado, before we kick off, I would like to welcome to the stage Noel Gertz from Uncommon Country to do an acknowledgement to country. Thanks, Noel.
Thank you, Amy. Before we start the official proceedings, just want to acknowledge the Gurrumulburra Wulgarukupa people, whose land on which we meet today, their neighbours, the Bindal people. And in particular, I wish to acknowledge all of the traditional owners who are part of this exciting project that we're talking about today, and thank State Development and all the other proponents that put this on today to give us the information and maybe go forward. In the room today we have some of the elders from some of the traditional owner groups who are on the pipeline transmission line, process, and I'll just acknowledge Cole, who's part of the Jenga group. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. I'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Les Walker, member for Munningborough. Thank you for joining us today, Les. We're going to kick off with our presentations. Now, as I mentioned, CopperString, we've all heard this project, we've all heard that term thrown around. Today is really about connecting with you as regional stakeholders to talk to you about what is involved in the project, give you a project status update, and talk to you about how you can be involved in the project. To do that, we have two speakers I'd like to announce first. We have Mr. Tom Dockray and Ben Hughes, and those gentlemen will give you an update on the project status, as well as some information around the local content and supplier engagement process associated with the project. To give you a bit of a background on Tom and Ben, Tom is a highly versatile and energetic business manager with extensive experience in engineering and construction management field. Tom is the project director of CopperString 2032 and will share some details about the project status. Ben is a local economic participation specialist for Powerlink's CopperString project. He's a local content strategy expert with over 15 years experience in designing, implementing and managing regional economies and major projects. His expertise spans across various industries, including project proponents, main works contracts, SMEs, economic advocates and all three levels of government. Please join me in welcoming Tom to the stage.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Noel, for opening. First of all, I'd just like to say a big thank you for all of you coming here today. It's a great turnout, and it's great to see you all, and thank you for spending your time and the effort. My name is Tom Dockray. I'm the Project Director for CopperString 2032. Today, I'd really like to just walk you through the latest developments for the project, a little bit about the scope, and also about the next program of works that we see going forward. Obviously the project is at a very exciting stage right at the moment, and also following off on the recent announcement yesterday. So there's tremendous momentum on the project, and really pleased to provide an update to you all today. So key items I'd really like to touch on. I'd like to recap about Powerlink, just the role of Powerlink and the role they're going to play. Give an overview on the project, CopperString 2032, and also our clear purpose. We have a very clear purpose on this project, and it's not just to build a transmission line. So I'd really like to walk you through that today. In order to deliver our purpose, we have 5 objectives that we've set ourselves as a project team. I'd like to touch on about our values, and then also the project scope and the progress that we're making. the first one is Powerlink. Who we are and what we do. Powerlink is a government-owned organisation, and it is responsible for the transmission network in Queensland. It looks after the transmission line network right from Cairns right down to the New South Wales border. The length of that transmission network is about 1,700 kilometres in length. Powerlink is also responsible for the connection to the large renewable zones as well into the network, and also significant load customers as well. Powerlink provides electricity to over 5 million Queenslanders and also over 2,000 and 38,000 businesses across Queensland. So Powerlink is playing a critical role in the energy transformation. CopperString 2032. I'd just like to walk you through just an overview. So this is a snapshot. This is a planned view of the project. The project initially involves the construction of 840 kilometres of high voltage transmission line. We start from Woodstock, the substation at Mulgrave Woodstock, and it traverses all the way to Mount Isa. In terms of the section in green that you see on the board, that's referred to as the Eastern Link, and that's a voltage capacity of 500 kV. The orange section, which traverses from Hewden to Concurry, that voltage is 330 kV, and then we have a 220 kV voltage line section there in blue from Concurry to Mount Isa. Across the transmission network, will have up to about 6 substations across it. Our purpose. Our purpose is very clear. We're here to power the future for the North and Northwest Queensland. Now, how we're going to do that, we've set ourselves 5 objectives, and you can see these down the bottom. The first one is to actually deliver the transmission line. So that's just one. We're going to initially build the 840 kilometres of transmission line. We're planning to do that on time, on budget, safety-led, and in a value for money way. But the second one of our objectives is to recognise and protect the community and stakeholders in which we operate. That's very important to us. We've been engaging early and we'll engage often with all our stakeholders. The third one is enable. We're going to enable the transition for renewable energy sources into the network. So really tapping into those new renewable zones that are planned across Queensland. The fourth one, we're going to leverage ideas, practices and leading technology. We just don't want to build the same transmission line that's been done in the past. We really want to leverage new ideas, new technology, innovation, and do it smarter and more effective. And the last one is enhance the lives and livelihoods of those communities in which we operate. We're not just going to build a transmission line, but we also want to leave a legacy and enhance those areas in which we operate. The next one, it's probably best to talk about the announcement that was made yesterday. This has created great momentum into the project, and it's really a great moment for the project and for all of us. The delivery launch package was announced yesterday. That's a $1.3 billion funding commitment to the project. That will really underpin our next program of works. So the next program of works for us is really to focus on and complete all of our planning, all of our approvals, and also the detailed design for the project. In addition to that, we're also going to secure all of the long lead equipment and manufacturing slots for the project. So all of the items that are needed for the project, we're going to go out and secure those manufacturing slots and equipment for the job. So it'll really set the job up for success, and it will allow us next year to start breaking ground, and it will also allow us next year to go for the full final investment on the entire job. The journey so far. What I can tell you is the team is working extremely hard to make this job a success and to be able to get our skates on and move really fast. So there's a big effort going in from everyone on the project. Today, we've really been trying to advance and complete all of our surveys, all our site investigation work, and all our preliminary planning activities. So it's pleasing to say all that's been going well. In parallel with that, we've been actively engaging with all stakeholders. So we've been working with community, working with events like this to really raise the profile of the project. We do have concept designs, we do have concept plans in place, but really over the next 6 to 8 months is when we're really going to bring in the definition and maturity into those plans and put us in a position where we can take this to a final investment stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ben Hughes. I'm responsible for the local procurement and local employment strategy, and I'd just like to give you a bit of an overview of what the next couple of months and into early next year looks like, and give you some kind of sense of the pathways you can take to become a supplier. So the first thing just to make clear for everyone in the room is there's two procuring parties here. There's Powerlink and there's UGL CPB contractors, and Greg from them will come up shortly and speak and tell you a little bit more about them. Powerlink, we're buying, as Tom mentioned, the long lead items and some of that heavy sort of special electrical plant requirements, and we're also procuring the joint venture to actually do the delivery. Joint venture themselves, UGL CPB, construction of the assembly and all the civil works, etc. They'll be responsible for procuring those packages. And Greg will give you a really good overview of those later on this afternoon. So on the slide deck, we've got 3 steps and 4 pathways that we're going to expect suppliers to take. The 3 steps we've got is, the first one is preparation. What we mean by preparation is we want you all to just take a consideration about whether the working for this project is the right project for you as a supplier. Everyone gets very excited when the announcements come through, you know, the big zeros and etc. that go along with a major project, but that still doesn't mean that you can't take that really considered view about whether this is the right project for you. And we really strongly recommend that you seek your professional advice from your accountants, your lawyers, your surveyors, your engineers, so we really understand what it means to work for a major project such as this, what does the contract terms look like, and how do we ensure that we actually create a successful outcome for both us and yourself as a supply chain. So that's the first thing, make that preparation, that's part of that today, go around, ask some questions. Second stage is registration. We're asking all businesses to register. We've got a ICN webpage up with 50 packages on it at this present moment in time. There are flyers at the back, on the table at the back. They've got a QR code, you can zip straight to there. We're undertaking that market testing process now until the 10th of November when those packages will close, and that will begin an evaluation period between ourselves and also the JV about what is the market capability and capacity that's up here in the region, and we'll be able to come back with a more in-depth and tailored strategy for the region. So, and the final step is pre-qualification, and I'm not going to take Greg's thunder on all of this, he'll unbundle what pre-qualification means, but basically it's your passport to procurement. Everyone who wants to be procured will need to go through that pre-qualification step. That's on a system called Felix, and Greg will be able to cover that off for you more. As you're looking on the right-hand side of the slide, we've also just identified 4 overview pathways that you as a supplier may experience. So at the bottom there, supply item not required. It's strange how many people apply for packages or put their businesses forward, but they're not related to construction at all. So we always have a group that we have to come back to and say, we're not buying what you're selling, we're not procuring what you're servicing, so we let everyone know, so we're not wasting anybody's time. There's a category there called interested, stay in touch, and what that means is that you might be a capable business, you may be ready to go, but UGL may be not ready to buy at this present moment in time. As Tom pointed out, it's a long project, number of milestones to go through at the moment, so you may be good, but we're just not ready for you at this present moment in time, and we'll be able to keep in contact with you and give you information about when relevant. 4th pathway is around supplier capability. So that might mean that you're in a position that you're 90% there, maybe some gaps in your capability and capacity, and what we'll do from this market test is understand what we can do to help you build up capability and capacity. And we're doing that in partnership with James Doyle and his team from State Development, and we'll be coming out to you sort of close to Christmas with some more information around that. And then the final element now, right at the top, register on Felix. If we need to procure, or if JV needs to procure the item now, that will come through Felix and you'll be issued that information. So those are the sort of the 3 steps and the 4 pathways that you'll be taking. And then the final slide here, a bit of a wordy slide, but everyone gets this slide back issued out to them, etc. But what we're talking about here on this slide is what we expect of projects. As Powerlink, we're expected to undertake a range of different commitments under our Australian and Queensland requirements. We cascade down those commitments into joint venture, and then in turn push that down into the supply chain. And what it means is that we want everybody in our supply chain to be able to participate in programs such as apprenticeship programs, Indigenous engagement and participation programs, safe workplaces, making sure the workers are fairly treated, and that we've got diverse, safe and inclusive workplaces as well. So they're really important elements of what we're looking for our supply chain, because those are the standards that we're setting for ourselves. So just in closing, like mentioned, obviously if anyone's got any challenges registering with ICN, State Development will help out any local businesses, and that's it. We've also provided information if there's any Indigenous or traditional owner businesses that need an assistance to do any registration. And finally, we've got Wade and Louise over here. So they're from the RDA. They've been coming around with us on the roadshow. We think the Jobs North Queensland portal is a really, really important element of this strategy. And if you're looking for apprenticeship work or to engage with the local youth, then absolutely advocate for that system and that approach. And finally, if you're an Indigenous business or a traditional owned business, we've got Catherine from JB, she's over there somewhere, and then we've got Brad in the corner as well. We'd be more than happy to chat to you about how you actually engage with the project. So thanks very much for your time, thanks very much for attending on Halloween, and I'm just going to hand back.
Thank you very much, Ben and Tom, for sharing that information about the project and how you as local businesses can get involved. I think the 3 pillars that Ben showed, we're obviously very much in the preparation phase at the moment, and I applaud you all for making the time and effort to come this evening to hear about the project, learn a little bit more so that you can make that educated decision on whether you want to pursue opportunities with this project or whether it might not be the right time for you. But research as much as you can and take every opportunity when we break this evening to talk to all the Powerlink crew. You'll see them all in their shirts around the room. Take the opportunity to hit them up with any questions you may have today. Now is the best opportunity. I'd next like to introduce Mr. Greg Edmonds to talk about the project opportunities and the process for tendering for work. Ben explained that there are 2 areas for procurement. UGL and CPB will be looking at the construction side of things and the civil, and that's what Greg will talk to you about today. Greg is the procurement manager for the UGL and CPB joint venture contract. He's a highly accomplished senior executive specialising in procurement, supply chain and sustainability. Greg has over 25 years experience within a diverse range of industries and a well-demonstrated capacity to lead both project and permanent teams through collaboration and strong relationships. Greg has gained his experience working across a number of organisations such as Energex, and you may be familiar with the Kidston project, BP, Woolworths and Arrow Energy. Please join me in welcoming Greg to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've seen some familiar faces, so I'd also like to just, before I start, thank those people. It's almost 2 years to the day. I think I presented at a TEL event here, and we were talking about CopperString 2.0, and for a couple of years, people talked about what had happened. So, as Tom said, now that momentum is well and truly on its way after yesterday's announcement. But I'd like to thank those people, those organisations that have helped us, that provided information or helped us build on what we've been doing over the last couple of years. So I'll just take a moment to thank you for that, and we'll have time afterwards to further discussions about opportunity. So I want to run through a little bit about UGL and CPB for those who aren't familiar with who we are. The procurement packages themselves. So I will dig into the types of activities that we're looking at, what those packages will look like for both the substations and the transmission line, and a little bit about the timelines. Tom's already given a bit of an idea on his slide there around timelines. We'll talk about that. The pre-qualification process, just to give you a level of comfort about what that looks like and the systems that we use and what we'll be looking for, and the Felix system that supports our vendor management and source to contract process. Some of you may already be familiar and have used Felix with other organisations, local government or other contractors, and we'll talk through that. So who we are, CPB is obviously an industry leader. You're probably familiar. We have an office here in Townsville and some capability, a lot of road construction projects, tunnel projects, projects of all sorts. The capability is pretty varied, from hospitals and other major pieces of infrastructure. So at any one time, at the moment, it looks like we're on over 50 projects across Australia. So we're participating in some of the big projects that are underway. UGL, we're a leading engineering, construction. We're in a diverse range of industries. We do everything from building locomotives down in Newcastle to providing services and maintenance to defence, mining, oil and gas, and the renewables and transportation. So with CPB, we're on projects like Cross River Rail, Humelink West down in New South Wales. So for this project, it's a good combination with their capability around the civils and UGL's capability around the technical aspects of the engineering in the high voltage transmission business. We're part of the CIMIC group. We have other operating companies such as TEAS, which you'd be familiar with, Broad Construction and Sedgman. So as a group, CIMIC has a lot of capability and capacity in the Australian market, and we leverage off each other to take full advantage of that. So this next slide kind of illustrates those different industries, tunnelling, roads, rail. We have plenty of experience in that type of infrastructure. Along with Powerlink, our key priorities in supporting this project, obviously a very disciplined approach, safe delivery, focus on local business and how we can support local business, Indigenous engagement, future-focused sustainable delivery, and the environment. So all those things are very important to us. We have our own reconciliation action plan, and we have our own programs in place, quite extensive across Australia, supporting those. A little bit more about Aboriginal participation and social inclusion. So along the journey over the last couple of weeks, from Mount Isa to where we are here tonight, we've had lots of discussions, and we've had lots of ideas put forward, and we'll take those away and look at our planning around participation in the Indigenous space and social inclusion. You'll get these slides as Ben said, so you'll be able to read the detail. So just to go through, some of you will be familiar with these activities, but just to go through what it looks like from the start of a project through to what types of work on both substation and transmission lines, and where you may see yourself providing a solution and an opportunity. If we look at site establishment, so when we get going, and there will be some activities commencing shortly where we'll be out on site. We've been doing some investigative works, as Tom alluded to, so we're helping Powerlink build that and firm up that plan with some more accurate data. So there is some geotech and some other studies underway, and will be underway shortly. But in the site establishment, we hire and we get site offices delivered, group huts, amenities, and we use containers for storage of our tools and other pieces that we need to help construct a substation or a transmission line. So along that project corridor, it's about 840 kilometres, we'll have a number of camps and we'll have a number of laydown sites, and we'll also have a number of yards where we have containers where we're storing bits and pieces. So I just want to kind of paint the picture and get you thinking about what that looks like and how that will operate. So we hire facilities for multiple accommodation camps, so we could have up to 6 camps along the project corridor of different sizes. So we're kind of establishing little communities in 5 or 6 locations along that corridor, and they're like little towns that need services. They will need camp management services to support that. So don't only think about our contracts and what we'll be putting in place to manage these, but the subcontractors that end up with a management contract, they'll be looking at the downstream supply chain that will, feed the workers, the laundry requirements, cleaning, the security, temporary fencing, security fencing, whatever it may be. So there's lots of opportunity, not just with a major RFQ package from our tender packages, but there'll be downstream opportunity from the subcontractors that we put in place and manage. They'll be looking for local help, particularly around the catering and all the things that you need to move a workforce around and to fuel a workforce. So buses from the airport, how we logistically move, up to 2,000 workers across any given time. We could have 800 people in camps, and we need to move them back and forward. We need to feed them, clothe them, wash their linen, etc. And they will need to drive vehicles, fuel vehicles, get vehicles maintained, repaired. So you need to think about all those things when you have a large number of moving pieces of equipment, large number of people, camps, etc. Site setup. So with that comes clearing. Some of these things I'll repeat because they're similar activities for the transmission line, from site establishment to substation to the transmission line. There's similar activities. Some are a little bit different. Some are more. There's more of it, but you'll get the general idea. Water storage, generators, site power. So we'll need generators for power at construction sites and substations. We'll obviously try and hook up our services to our camps through Ergon and water through local council. But water will be a priority. We'll have studies out on where water sources are for both construction water and also potable water. So that will be something that we'll need to firm up and understand. Things around clearing for that site establishment, and that then moves into, I'll talk about in the transmission line as well as the substations in terms of clearing for the site as well as access tracks, etc. I've talked about potable water, ablutions, fuel, generator service, cleaning, waste removal from the sites as well. So we'll have some challenges to meet: environmental compliance with the removal of waste, types of waste. So we'll be working hard with our suppliers on what type of packaging things come in, because we'll need to get that moved on and dealt with appropriately. Vehicle hire, obviously large number of vehicles of all different types, from flatbed trucks, different configuration heavy vehicles, different types of vehicles, from boxes to Manitows to cranes to utes and all sorts of things, bobcats, etc. So we look at substation construction. So we'll still need survey, we'll need geotech. We're using some of those services now, but we'll need further geotech and survey services. The site clearing I spoke of, both bulk earthworks and civil. So the subcontractor to look at those. We'll have a number of sites. So we'll probably, we're going to look at different contractors, different geographic areas, drainage, including concrete pipe supplies, obviously. Substations may look a little bit ordinary or a bit boring when we go past them. A transmission high voltage one, there's a little bit more to them in putting them together, and there's some concrete work and some some concrete channels, etc., to connect different components. We're going to need gravel surface, bitumen roads, we're going to need improved roads, formwork, reinforced steel, concrete supplies again, and construction water. So we're going to need to find where there's batch plants already, where we can put batch plants, where there's agitators, where we can get agitators, and as you can imagine, it's a fairly big undertaking. And then we need the electrical tradespeople, we need management, so we need civil engineers, trades assistants, we need electrical equipment, conduits, cable, consumables, and lots of it. Plant hire again, excavation, craneage, and access equipment. Now, I've mentioned plant hire a bit, and vehicles and generators and things of that nature. So across 840 kilometres, we'll be looking at who has those at different locations, where it's geographically makes sense to have providers. And from a local content point of view, those people that have service offerings that align with the kind of activities we're doing, you should already have be able to provide us with a benefit just by your location and what you have. So that should reflect in what you provide us in the way of a proposal, and in your answers to the EOI, we should be able to clearly see that where you're located and the types of activities you do, there's an advantage there to us to have further discussions with you. So on the transmission line, so water to tower sites, and you heard Tom talk about the different KVs. So we've got 500 down to 330 down to 220. So the bigger the KV, the bigger the towers, the bigger the conductor, insulators, everything's bigger. So tower pads are going to be bigger, more Rio, so more steel, etc. The towers themselves come from overseas. We haven't manufactured towers in Australia for a long time. I think our last tower testing facility was in Quakersill in Sydney, and that was run by Townsville. I think that's been closed for nearly 30 years or more. Tower testing takes place after we prototype, so we'll design the towers. We'll give those designs to Powerlink. They'll look at and sign off on those designs. We'll then go to prototype. They'll manufacture towers as per the prototype. So when we say prototype, there'll be different types of towers, and they'll prototype and test. And we'll test to a weight strain. Some clients test to destruction, some to a weight. And if they pass, we'll take those towers, and then manufacture will start. When we get those towers landing in Townsville, we've got nearly 2,200 towers of all different sizes. So we're talking a lot of steel, 70,000 plus tonne of steel coming in. They'll come in like a Meccano set in a container, and we'll need a contractor to take those containers from port, take them to a facility, de-stuff the containers. As I said, like a Meccano set, they'll need to be put in towers on a flatbed truck, and then taken to either a laydown area or what we call PEG, which is the site where we'll construct the tower. We put those towers together at PEG in up to three sections, so the base and then middle and top, and then we crane those into position and bolt them together. So it's a fairly, from a productivity point of view, we need to be a very, very efficient process, and we need to make sure that our contractors that we put in place, we're all working together to make that as efficient and productive as possible. So we'll refine what that looks like in terms of how we get those containers, how we get the containers stuffed, and then we de-stuff them, and then we take them. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. When we put those towers up and then we start the stringing, we use helicopters to string. I'll talk about that in a moment. But for the stringing itself, we're going to need, if we can find the local skilled linespersons, trades assistants, and then do things like surface preparation, craneage hire, helicopter services. So we do use Meridian, I think it's a local helicopter service you'd be familiar with for the stringing, and Powerlink have them as a preferred supplier. Access roads and tracks. So we're going to need to look at the surface and pothole maintenance for major roads. We're going to have a lot more trucks, a lot more tonnage moving across roads, so we're doing surveys of what those routes look like. As Ben alluded to, there's primary plant equipment that Powerlink will source and provide to us pre-issue, and we'll need to work with Powerlink on, they'll mainly come in DDP, so we'll be working with them on when we receive those and what we need to have in place to add that to our construction program. But we'll need to understand where services are, as in power lines, if any need to be moved to allow, 200-300 ton transformer through. Bridges that can handle the capacity, what routes they can take, what damage they're going to do to roads, what roads we need to upgrade, etc. So there's a big piece of work around the whole logistics piece. So we'll need supply and place water for dust control. So we'll need people that have got water tankers, gravel and road-based supplies. So we're doing investigative works on quarries where there's suitable materials, where we can use those materials, and road plant equipment hire. So we'll want to understand who's got what equipment and where. So when I talk about the major packages that we'll release as RFQs to engage subcontractors to manage, there'll also be, when we're on site, we'll have a number of site officers across the project corridor. And just as in government procurement, we still have our own policies and procedures for procurement, and we have our own compliance that we need to meet. It's a government-funded project, so at some point we'll be audited, and we'll need to show that we've conducted our procurement activities following probity principles, and being transparent, visibility we've been provided, and we've also given everyone a fair and opportunity at providing a proposal. So in doing that, we also have thresholds where we conduct certain activities up to. So from a project point of view, the project officers that are scattered across the corridor will have the need to go out and purchase certain things as they need them. So we'll have things happen as we do in projects, and people that are working on projects will know something will happen. We'll need to find someone with a welder, we'll need to find someone with a truck, we'll need to find a dozer or a bobcat or a crane. In that instance, we're going to need to understand the local community and who's got what and who can do what, and have relationships with them and have purchase orders in place where we can keep that project schedule timeline intact and meet our schedule and our objectives. So we will be out there buying things ad hoc to our policies and procedures, but we will be looking at, there'll be people going off to Mitre 10s or local hardware needing tools and to find extra pieces of equipment, or we'll need to get something repaired, or we'll need somebody to provide a gate for property access, etc. So just keep in mind there'll be all those things and all those opportunities as well. And then off the back of that is, when we've got busloads of guys and they're on their way from whatever airport or however we're going to get them to their site, they'll want to pull up at the bakery or the coffee shop, and they'll be looking at all those purchases as well. So all the downstream opportunities that come out of a project of this size is enormous. So just further on the transmission line itself, again, plant equipment, surface preparation, concrete supplies, the batching plants I spoke of, they're going to be very important to either bring them to the project corridor, find where they are now, or the use of agitators. We'll have environmental and erosion controls we'll need to put in place. There's environmental studies of all types that need to be conducted from time to time. We'll need fauna spotters, we'll need people on the ground that can help with environmental management. There's earthing, cabling and fittings. Again, from time to time we'll need to run and find where we can get extra and additional fittings, etc. I've talked about the lattice tower steel installation and given you an overview of that process. But the heavy transport, we're going to be looking at logistics partners, Townsville based, understand the local geographics and what's required. Crane hire of all types, I mentioned before. fixing and alterations to tower steel. So we will also be looking for local steel fabrication capability. There will be some steel fabrication in the substation packages that will look at local opportunity, but there'll also be where we have either missing components from the towers or damaged components. So we'll need to be able to find a source of someone who can fabricate the spec of the missing pieces, and then we have capability in Townsville for galvanising, etc. But there will be something required there to manage that risk. So on the timeline, design has started. So we've started on primary plant equipment that we're designing for Powerlink to then go and do their procurement. We're designing towers. That has started now. We're also putting out scopes of work, and we'll put out more scopes of work on some more investigative studies, as I spoke about. Procurement activities from now through to the beginning of 2024, and we'll be trying to get in front of the camps, the construction of camps. There's a lot of competing projects in Australia at the moment looking for accommodation for workforce, so we'll be trying to secure our manufacturing slots for the camp manufacturer. Construction start date next year, so we put Q2 there, where we'll start seeing some activity mainly around camps, etc. And then construction finish in 2029 in Q4. So a bit of information around the pre-qualification. And some of you here may have been involved in GenX. We've learned a little bit from GenX and the use of Felix and what we worked with Powerlink on GenX about, and what we asked people to do in terms of Felix. One of the things that we learned from that, and we had Felix, the organisation themselves, which is a Brisbane-based software company. We had them involved also running some sessions to help train people and help end users with how to use the system. But a couple of the key things around that was what we discovered here. Depending on your location and your internet bandwidth, we will have documents, some quite large, depending on the type of activity that you're looking to be involved in. If design drawings are involved, then the bandwidth, it's going to take a little bit to download and a little bit to upload. So if your internet service and your bandwidth isn't great, that will be an issue. Also, Felix, when you get notifications from us, those notifications can go to junk mail, to your spam. So we'll let you know when we've sent you something, and probably just give you a call or an email to ask you just to check that you've received and confirm. It does have good communication, so we can talk to you about an RFQ, and you can send clarifications, and we can talk to you back and ask any questions or provide you any responses. And from that point of view, it gives us a really good auditable path to show what we've been doing, what we've been talking and sending information to, so it's very useful in that regard. From a pre-qual point of view, what we try to do is to pre-qual based on the size and the type of activity that your business undertakes. So if you're a small white-collar business doing some of these investigative works where you're providing reports to us, you're not involved in civil works with heavy equipment, etc., that's a different path in the pre-qual than if you've got 50 guys, high-risk activities, climbing towers or electrical works, or heavy vehicle, days or operators, etc. So it's a horses for courses pre-qual, and we'll work you through that. If you end up in a pathway where you've got all these things to answer and you don't see them as really relevant, then just call us and talk, and we'll either talk to you about what you do need to complete and what we want you to do. There will be, and we anticipate that we'll have new businesses, that people that want to start a business and see this as an opportunity to grow a business, and that's fine. What we'll be interested in is the experience that the individuals have and what capacity, capability they're bringing to the table. So we'll be reviewing, what that experience looks like. We have SMEs. You probably can't read on that side of the slide. The particular, that's kind of a look at what Felix looks like to us in the sections that we're asking you to provide information for. That's the full-blown pre-qualification. If you're quite a sizable business, that's what you need to fill out. We have SMEs, subject matter experts, for each of those different areas, and they will work with the companies that are pre-qualling, and when they review your information, if there's something missing or they think you've kind of missed something or not understood it, they will send you a message or contact you. Typically what we find and what we found on GenX or in other projects we've done is that there might be a smaller operator that does things properly every day, but just doesn't have either a one-page document of their risk assessment process or how they conduct certain activities. And we'll get in touch with you, and we'll ask you, we'll just ask you how you operate through the day. From the toolbox tour, site risk assessment, how you set up, and what you're doing. And we might just help you, give you some advice on how to put a one-page process together, upload that, and that'll meet our requirements in terms of documented process. Others with a higher level of sophistication will already have, it might be some sort of quality management system, safety management system, and a bit more sophistication. So they'll know what to do. May have used Felix before. Unfortunately, even across the CIMIC group of companies, if you're already registered with Felix but you're not registered with UGL, because that's the system we're leading with as the JV, you'll have to just upload your details again. We've talked to Felix about having some sort of common, if you're already in the system with Felix, how we can take the relevant information through into our portal, but that's a work in progress. So at the moment it'll be, if you're already registered with Felix with somebody, and that could be with a local government entity or another tier 1 constructor, you'll still have to register with Felix and pre-qual with Felix in the UGL system. So just kind of going through what that looks like. So we'll have company details, we'll want your ABN, and we'll want to know whether you're a trust or not, just what that structure looks like. Personal licences and insurances. Between CPB and ourselves, we have 8,500 vendors at any one time. So this system automates the management of the necessary insurances, licences, etc. So if you're in our system every 12 months, it'll ask you to, where's your latest work cover, where's your latest insurances or licences, etc. A bit on financial background, so we have a bit of duty of care and due diligence to do. We can't, contract anyone who hasn't got the financial capacity to service a contract at a certain value. So we'll need to understand what your capability and capacity is in that regard. Quality overview. If you've got quality systems, our quality manager will want to know what they are and how you manage them. Health and safety, obviously, as a tier 1 contractor, safety is pretty much part of our culture and the way that we operate. So we want to make sure we're aligning with people that share that same culture and view, and the behaviours are right. Critical risk summary, that's more about the type of activity. So we'll look at if you're doing stringing or working with high risk activities. We'll want to know how you manage that. Additional requirement for principal contractors, and also requirements for companies completing heavy vehicle and logistics operations. So we want to make sure that you have everything in place as per the National Heavy Vehicle Regulator, and you understand what those legislative requirements are. So we can't contract out of legislation, so all our contracts feature the relevant legislations, and we'll need to make sure that you understand what those are. Industrial relations, on this project we'll have our own EBA, and we'll operate and make sure that we're paying award wages and or above, and we'll want to make sure that our subcontractors are meeting all the industrial relations requirements as well. And the last two are around modern slavery. If you're providing product, we need to understand through the supply chain that we don't have any risk of modern slavery. And then some declarations which really match what Ben went through in terms of what Powerlink stand for and how they want to operate and how they want to work with people who share a similar view, and that's just similar to CIMIC and CPB UGL. If you want further information on the supplier pre-qual, you can go to the CIMIC site and look for UGL or CPB, and we both have tabs that you can go through in terms of if you want to work with us, what it looks like, what those requirements are. And for UGL, there's a pre-qualification standard. You can click on that and it can give you some more information. or there are some cards here with the CopperString 2032 email address that you'll be able to get from the back and email through and ask any questions you may have. Just a note here that pre-qual doesn't necessarily mean that there's guaranteed work. So the pre-qual process is we want to have people pre-qual so that we can invite them to the tender process and know that through that tender process, if they're successful, we can award the contract and progress that. So again, this is kind of reinforcing what Ben was talking about, but just to be clear on a couple of points. Really familiarise yourself with the work, activities and scope of the project. Gain an understanding of the requirements. Communicate with the JV if you like. As I said, there's an email address there. We'll get some information through from Powerlink from the ICN process as well, and we'll work through with Powerlink on what those opportunities look like and who we see as aligning to different packages. If you're already a supplier with UGL or CPB, then you're probably familiar with how that works and how to register in Felix. Just look at those opportunities aligned with your business, but also if you're looking at some of these opportunities and think, well, we're not quite big enough, but we think we've got some capability, then maybe there's an opportunity to partner with somebody else. Maybe you do something, but the way that the work will unfold is that it will be combined with something else. Then maybe think about how you can partner, and there's an opportunity there to kind of build your capability, and maybe it's a more senior partner or whatever role you play in that partnership. But there's opportunity there, and we're happy to look at those opportunities as well. Become familiar with the joint venture standard terms and conditions. So if you haven't contracted before, please take some time. I think Ben mentioned, get some advice from, whether that's legal or accountants or whatever it may be. But certainly look at what those terms and conditions are, the contracting model. For us, we have a head contract with Powerlink. From that, there'll be special terms and conditions we need to adhere to. In our contract with our subcontractors, we flow down those special conditions, and they go through. We pass those through to the subcontractors. So we all need to make sure we understand what those obligations are and what that looks like. Get an understanding of how to respond to tenders. If this is something new for you or your business, so there may be some of you that are familiar with the vendor panel and have local government tendering experience or state government tendering experience. So you'll be familiar with how that works. If not, state development will talk about some of the activities that they have that can help in that regard. ICN conducts some activities as well. You can also go online. If you look at state government, the Queensland government, in their chief procurement office, they have some really good materials that you can look at, even some best practice guides that can help you understand what that tender process looks like. And register with ICN, as Ben said, so if you haven't, please do align yourself with the packages that you think are relevant, and that information will come through to us. Or again, grab a card and email us. I'll be around to have discussions if you want to come and have a chat also. But again, thank you, and thank you for your efforts on the project thus far, and look forward to moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg, and to all of our presenters this evening. I know you've all had a very big day at work and you've just had a lot of information thrown at you, so I just wanted to remind you that we will be circulating the slides. So if there's any information on there that you didn't quite capture, you will have an opportunity to go through the presentation at your own leisure at another time. Personally, I have worked with CPB and UGL for many years through the Department of State Development, and I can hand on heart say they are absolutely dedicated to working with local businesses. They are very passionate about making sure that they enrich our region with these projects, and so I urge you to take that. The opportunity is there, the objective is there. It's now our responsibility as local businesses to make sure we promote and prepare the best we can for these opportunities. So take the opportunity tonight to talk to CPB and UGL and Powerlink. research, make sure it's for you, make sure you're ready and prepared for the project, and get your name out there. It's about promoting your business, letting people know what you're capable of. I'm sure everybody in the room would agree with me. I'm extremely proud of the amount of capability we have in our region, and I think it's really, really important for us to get that out there, talk to the right people, and get that information in the right hands. So please do use tonight wisely. If you are having any trouble with preparing to promote your business, there are a couple of activities that we at Department of State Development can help you with. We have a top 10 tips for tendering, with a tongue twister, on the 9th of November, and a capability statement webinar on the 29th of November. These events are around understanding how to tender for opportunities, which will be really helpful for this particular project and further projects in the future. And our capability statement webinar is about creating almost a resume for your business. If you don't have a capability statement, it's a fantastic document to have to summarise why somebody should work with you on a project. What are your key differentiators? What is your key capability? And what expertise could you bring to the project? The fact that you're local and you're regional, that is amazing. A lot of businesses that are down south who would like to come in and win some of this work won't have that regional and local expertise that you have. So it's really important to put that knowledge forward. If you are interested in any of these events, come and see myself. There's a whole state development crew around the room. We'll be circulating and having a catch up, so do come and see us. And I just wanted to touch on Greg's point about joint ventures as well. We have seen that a lot through the projects over the years, that there are often scopes of work that are not quite within your remit. They might just be a little bit too adventurous for you, a little bit too outside of your capacity, but there are opportunities to work with other businesses to do that work. And that's why events like tonight are so important, because it gives you a chance to not only meet the Powerlink and the UGL and CPB side of things, it's about meeting each other and learning about what other capability and capacity we have within the region, who you can work with, who you can team up with, and how you can work together to create this project. Every project, especially this one because it's so big, takes a village. So we need to lean on all of you regional stakeholders and regional businesses to come to the party and show us what you've got to get this project over the line. So thank you. Workforce shortage is obviously a very big issue, and I just wanted to very, very briefly touch on that. We do have a couple of things coming up that might be able to help you around that issue. I'd like to acknowledge Wade Kiesa down the back from Regional Development Australia. He said, Wade. Wade is happy to provide you with a bit of an overview and answer any questions about the Jobs North Queensland portal and website, and provide advice on how to register to the website. So if you're looking for a skilled workforce, looking for job attraction, promoting those jobs that you have out further from our region, the Jobs North Queensland website is really great. So please do have a chat to Wade. Speaking of workforce shortage, we also have Emma Donoghue from Sunny Queensland in the room. Give us a wave, Emma. Emma has some information about an upcoming event on Tuesday the 28th of November around diversifying talent pools and tapping into that skilled migrant talent pool. This session is around helping SMEs to understand and demystify some of the process around employing international students and graduates, and helping them to understand and navigate the visa process and everything associated with that. So if you are interested in that event, please do come and have a chat with Emma after we finish this evening. We do have a feedback survey. I know everybody hates surveys, but I promise you it'll take you about 3 minutes to complete. And what this survey will help us do is understand where there are capability gaps. If we can understand where you need help to prepare for this project, we can then design a program or design workshops and things to be able to meet those needs for you. So please do take the time to scan the QR code and fill in a couple of questions for us, and then we can best prepare you for these opportunities. Also, we have our Townsville Industry Breakfast coming up on the 23rd of November. Another great opportunity to hear about other exciting projects that are happening in the region. And again, I cannot stress enough, it gives you that opportunity to engage with other businesses, learn about what's around, and see how you can work together.